Good afternoon. Welcome. Like I promised today, I'm doing economic geography. I'm moving on now to geography paper 2, November 2024. I'm going to focus on economic geography. Let me take you through the paper. I'll try to make sure that I cover as much ground as possible so that you prepare yourself for the paper 2. That is to be written anytime this week. Economic Geography of South Africa. Various options are provided as possible answers to the following question. Choose the answer and write only the letter A to D next to the question numbers 2.11 and 2.1.8 and answer book, e.g. 2.1.19. It is very important to read the instructions. That's why I'm doing this. Otherwise, I could have just go on to move to read the first question. But I'm just training you that it is very important for you to read the questions. Okay. The main difference between small scale and large scale farming. Okay, the main difference between small scale and large scale farming. Okay, so the next thing that you need to ask yourself is, what is farming? You need to understand what is farming. That's what you need to understand first, because we cannot just talk about the difference between small scale and large scale farming without you knowing what farming is. Farming is the planting of crops and rearing of animals. So it means it involves both. When you are growing crops, you are farming. When you are rearing animals, you are also farming. Okay, what is the difference? Of course, when you talk about the small scale farming, what is it that we are more concerned with? Obviously, it is done on a small scale, small piece of land. It is something to do with the size of the holdings that are used in terms of farming, whereas large scale is done on large farming areas, large pieces of land. So small scale farmers, they can be subsistence and commercial. Of course, small piece of land, which means when we say that can be commercial, which means they are now intensive, of course, in terms of the inputs that they are using and the production, which helps improve their production. That's basically what we are talking about. So small scale farmers can be subsistence, or they can also be intensive farmers, but still are operating at small scale. They are using inputs to produce or to improve their productivity, how they commercialize. Low farming production, obviously, when it comes to subsistence or as compared to the large scale, the part of the informal sector, they contribute to food security in the future. Large scale farmers predominantly commercial. The large scale, they are predominantly commercial. High farming production contributes most to the GDP. So you need to have an understanding of what a small scale and what large scale is. And also the contribution of agriculture in general. It contributes to the GDP, produces food, develops infrastructure, it employs people. The factors that favors farming: high demand of products, fertile flood plains, higher summer temperatures help crops to grow, availability of labor, research, etc. The factors also, the main agricultural products. We are looking at the fruit, deciduous, subtropical, citrus, grains and seeds, livestock, beef, mutton, pork and ostrich, sugar, dairy. These are some of the things that you should always familiarize yourself with. The factors that hinders: low rainfall, soil erosion, natural disasters, among other reasons. So I'm just giving you a background. Let's start now with our questions. The main difference between small scale and large scale farming, okay? The difference is in terms of the size of the farm holdings. Okay, so you answer yes, A, because small scale usually on a small fields, okay, small pieces of land, whereas large scale on large pieces of land. So that is the major difference there. I'm not going to waste much time on that. Okay, refer to the photograph on small scale, large scale farming below to answer the question 2.1.2 and 2.1.3. Photograph illustrates. What does it illustrate? Okay, this is more like your combined harvesters, I'll say. These are your animals, of course, for irrigation. You can see what is happening there. You can see here they are watering crops. Okay, so what do we have here? Refer, photograph below illustrates small scale farming. Okay, let's see which one illustrates small scale farming. So you can see from the options that are given is D, of course, because it's more subsistence than on a small scale. This is large scale. This is commercial, which is large scale. So that is your S, which is D. A characteristic of small scale farming evident in the picture is 2.1.3. 2.1.3, you can see there's use of manual labor. I don't want to waste much of time here. Here, obviously, this is more of what you get on a large scale farming. So what is evident from the picture is the use of manual labor. Then 2.1.4 is an economic advantage of farmer practicing large scale farming. 2.1.4, obviously they are likely to get larger profits. Of course, they use machinery, but they're likely use of machinery come with expenses because you'll have to acquire or buy them. So the benefit now, the economic advantage here is B, which is that they get more profits. They're doing it on a large scale. They're likely to get more profits. When you talk about the large labor force, obviously the labor has to be paid. Practicing of mud culture, that's not an advantage. So the economic advantage there is larger profits. Then moving on to the next one, cattle farming is an activity in cattle farming. Obviously, when it comes to farming, 2.1.5, when it comes to farming, obviously it's more extractive. That makes it what? Primary, because under primary we have got farming, we have got mining, we have got forestry, we have got fishing. So it comes under primary. Secondary, like I've already said, we have got processing, manufacturing and construction. Tertiary, service provision, your transport, your tourism, warehousing, banking. Quaternary, these are specialized activities, which means now we are talking about IT specialists, we are talking about research and development. 2.1.6, distribution of dairy products is an activity in them. Of course, 2.1.6, this has something to do with service provision when it comes to distribution, which means it's more to do with transport or transporting. That makes it tertiary, which is a provision of services. That is makes it what? More tertiary, because now the dairy products are being distributed in the market. That is tertiary, which is service provision. A factor hindering cattle farming in South Africa is, of course, a factor hindering cattle farming, 2.1.7. What hinders? Of course, something to do with available grazing land, because obviously the animals, they should have paddocks where they graze. So that is the most important thing there, available grazing land. Then 2.1.8, challenges faced by small scale. Challenges faced by small scale farmers in South Africa are, let's see what we have. 2.1.8, high rate of unemployment. Small scale farmers, no. Animal disease, okay. Small scale cattle, animal disease is relevant there. Then what else do we have? Semi-arid, of course, we need also land where they can graze. So these are the two. It's in South Africa, these are the two which make the answer to be B. That is 2 and 3, which is your animal disease and semi-arid land. Okay, now let's move on to 2.2. This is a match question now. Match the statements in column A with the options in column B. Write only Y or Z next to the question numbers 2.2.1 to 2.2.7. Okay, this is what we have. We have got the descriptions in column 1 statement, then we have got the concept in column B. 2.2.1, it reads, the main purpose of industrial development zone is to promote. Remember, I took you through the industrial development zone just now, but to make sure that you understand it, let me just say it again so that at least you have an idea of what an industrial development zone is. Okay, it is an industrial estate linked to the international sea and the airport. Okay, so let's see what is the main. Okay, there you can see the main idea is for us to export. Of course, it's linked to the industrial sea and airport. The main idea is for exports. Okay, SDIs are generally located in spatial development zones. That's your SDI, the spatial development zone. I think before we actually give you the answer, let me just say something. What is an SDI, special development zone? These are transport and communication links between major industrial areas, metropolitan areas, and harbors. This is what spatial development initiative is. Spatial development initiative, that is your SDI. This year we are focusing on Maputo Development Corridor as our SDI. So this is information that you are supposed to have access to. You should know more information about them. SDI, which is the Maputo Development Corridor. Let me try to go through it so that at least you have an idea of what it is. Okay, the SDI is a transport communication links between major industrial areas, metropolitan areas, and harbors. Where is the Maputo Transport Corridor? It's an approximately 630 kilometer transport route from Johannesburg in Gauteng to the port of Maputo in Mozambique on the Indian Ocean. That's the location. So you need also to know the location of the Maputo Transport Development Corridor. You need to understand or to know where exactly it is located or situated. What are some of the aims? To develop and improve existing transport routes, the movement of raw materials and finished goods by road and rail, attract infrastructure and business investment to poor areas. I'm not going to give you everything. I'm just giving you a background so that you have an idea. Advantages of the Maputo Corridor: connects Gauteng with the nearest deep water port in Maputo, Mozambique. It connects the Limpopo province, fruit and export of minerals to the nearest deep water port. It passes through Mpumalanga, where most of South Africa's electricity is generated, that is coal, is exported. Access to breathtaking national and international tourism destinations. These are some of the advantages that you're supposed to know. Then the main economic developments then. The N4 highway in Maputo corridor, border post in Mozambique, railway line between Johannesburg and Mozambique and Maputo, gas pipeline between Sasolburg and Maputo, steel manufacturing in Middlesbrough, and vehicle manufacturing in Pretoria. So these are some of the main economic developments along the Maputo development corridor. What are the factors that favor? N4 corridor makes the area accessible, tourist attractions and investors, Maputo part handling 6.5 million cargo, among other reasons. Okay, the factors that restrict: high maintenance cost of the N4 highway, maintenance and delays at the border post, high fees, the use of road, rail, port terminals and shipping, of course, toll gates when it comes to road. Impact of Maputo corridor. What are some of the economic impacts? Okay, employment opportunities for locals, earning potential for local increase, buying power of locals increase, transport networks improves accessibility. The social impacts. What are some of the social impacts? We are talking about the quality of life improving, more and better services, skills of the locals improve. That was just in general. Let's go back to the question. SDIs are generally located in, of course, we are saying this is underdeveloped because we want to develop those areas. It's underdeveloped. Okay, thank you. 2.2.3, a positive economic impact of special development initiatives is, what is the positive economic impact of special development initiatives? 2.2.3, we are looking at upgraded infrastructure. You've seen what has been done to the N4. You see what you've done to the N4. Of course, there is constant upgrade there. Then 2.4, a social challenge experienced by the, okay, of course, here is talking about the South Africa, but that's not our focus for this year. Our focus for this year is what? Is the Maputo Development Corridor, but I'll just give you the answer. 2.2.4, there your answer is why, unskilled workforce. Then the main industrial associated with the West Coast or SDI, I'll just give you the answer, but we are not concerned about this for this year. We are focusing on Maputo Corridor, that is your steel plant. Southwestern Cape core industrial regions is restricted by, of course, when you're talking about now the industrial core regions, we basically have 4 when you talk about the industrial core regions, but our main focus for this year is we are focusing on PWV, which is your Pretoria, Witwatersrand, Vernaken, that is your Gauteng, and we are also focusing on Durban Pine, which is the eThekwini. Those are the 2 that we are focusing on this year. So you don't need to worry much about some of these things because you are not going to cover them. Okay, so we've got the PWV, then we've got the Durban eThekwini. So when it comes now to when it comes to this, I just want to give you an idea of what we have here. We have got you have supposed to know the location of these industrial zones. Okay, we have got the Southwestern Cape here. Okay, you must know the location. We have got the PE Uitenhage. You've got each, you're supposed to know. This is where we have got the Durban Pine, and this is where we have got the Gauteng, which is your PWV. So you're supposed to know the 2 that we are covering this year is your PWV, Gauteng, and the Durban Pine. These are the 2 that we are focusing on. So you do need to worry more about the PE Uitenhage and the Southwestern Cape. The main focus for this year is the PWV and your Durban Pinetown. Okay. Then what is the next one now? 2.2.6. I'm just going to give you the answer since they've started it. So the Southwestern Cape core industrial zone is restricted by 2.2.6. That is your why? Few mineral resources, but you don't need to worry about this. Fiscal factor that promotes industry in the Southwestern Cape core industry is 2.2.7. That is your coastal location. So some of the questions that are here, you might not find them on the question papers for this year. Why? Because we are not covering that. Okay. Then 2.3, refer to the graph and extract below on coal mining in South Africa. This one I'm going to skip it because we are not doing coal mining this year. We are doing gold mining. I think I've done a question on 2022 about gold mining. So here I'm not going to do it. I don't want to confuse you because we are not doing coal mining. So I'm not going to do this question. Why? Because we are not doing coal mining this year. We are only doing gold mining. And I've done a question on gold mining on the 2022 paper that I've uploaded as well. So I'm not going to do this because we are not covering that for this year. Otherwise, I'll end up confusing you. So this is out for 2025. We are not focusing on coal mining. I'm not going to do this one, okay? Let's move on to the next one. 2.4, refer to the infographic below in the Gauteng, Pretoria, Witwatersrand, Vereeniging co-industrial region. I think I've shown you the industrial regions that we have. We have got the Gauteng, we have got the Durban Pine, we have got the PE Uitenhage, we have got the Southwestern Cape. So you should just know them in general in terms of their location. So here our main focus is on the PWV. What do we have in the PWV? Okay, what is the acronym? What does the acronym PWV stand for? Is the Pretoria Witwatersrand Vereeniging. That is PWV. You have to know what PWV actually stands for. You have to know. It is very important. It is very important for you to know about that. Okay. Then the kind of industries that we have within the PWV, we have got chemical, we have got iron and steel, we have got motor vehicle industries and machinery. That's the kind of industries that we find within PWV, that is Gauteng. What are some of the factors that actually favors? Some of the factors that actually favors location of the PWV. There's a large market, a networking of roads and railway lines, plant labor, variety of raw materials, there's enough water, Valdam, there's cheap electricity. So these are the factors that favors, okay, the location of PWV. What are some of the factors that actually hinder the location of PWV? We are talking about your water shortages, pollution, air and water pollution from mine, vulnerable, more than 50% of SA industries here, congestion and pressure on resources. So these are some of the things that you're supposed to know in as far as PWV is concerned. You're supposed to know this, okay? Then in terms of Durban Pine, I'm just going to do them all so that at least you have an idea, but these are the ones that we are focusing on when it comes to the industrial regions of South Africa. Durban Pine, where is it located? Durban Pine Town in eThekwini. Kind of industries, we have got chemical, food processing, sugar refinery, oil refining, and also cars. So these are some of the things that you should also supposed to familiarize yourself with. Then what are the factors that favors access to the shipping port, the Durban Harbour, large markets, well-developed transport routes, plant skilled and unskilled labor, and good water supply? Those are some of the things that you have in as far as Durban Pine Town is concerned. Then the factors actually is restricting or hindering the few flat areas to build more large industries on: pollution, hot and humid climate, unfavorable working conditions. Then of course the Durban Harbour cannot develop further. These are some of the things that you can actually, you are actually supposed to familiarize yourself with. So what I'm saying in short is industrial regions, we are only looking at PWV and the Durban Pine. That should be your main focus. So let's go to the question now. Let's go to the question. 2.4. Let's go to the question 2.4. Okay, 2.4.1. All right, it reads, before we read the question, let me just read this extract. Refer to the infographic below on Gauteng PWV co-industrial region. Okay. Gauteng PWV is the biggest contributor. This is the biggest contributor, okay? South Africa gross domestic product, you are supposed to know that this is the biggest contributor. Gauteng's most important economic activities are financial and business services, logistic, communication, manufacturing, property and telecommunications, and trade. These are the main economic activities in the PWV. So you are already given, this is what I've been talking about now. About 10,000 businesses involved in the province's manufacturing sector employ 500,000 people. So they are contributing to employment creation. About what? 10,000 business employs about 500,000 people, of course, okay? Then the economy of the province is moving away from traditional heavy industry markets to low value added, which means now this has been the problem mostly with most African countries. They were actually exporting what you call the unprocessed or raw materials, which do not fetch higher price in the global market. But you can see now the shift that has been made here from industry market to low value added production, which means there is manufacturing that is taking place, this processing, which means whatever is being exported by South Africa now, it fetches high price in the global market, which explains why the economy of South Africa is doing well, because we are exporting value-added products. Okay, that's what I want you to take note of. 2, sophisticated value-added production, particularly information technology. These are the sectors where we have got more of these value-added commodities. Okay, glossary: low value-added production, basic production that use traditional technology and manual labor to operate machines. High value production that use advanced technology. This is just to give you an idea of what low value-added production is and high value is. Okay, that is the first part. Second part, these are the statistics that you should also make use. 20% of South Africa's population, 31% of South Africa labor force in all economic factors, 20% contributed to mining sector, 38% contribution to GDP of South Africa, 45% South Africa manufacturing capacity. So these are the statistics in as far as the PWV is concerned. The major roads now, major roads that link industrial areas in Gauteng province to core industrial regions. So these are the major roads. I'm not going to waste time on this one. Okay, as you can see, these are the major roads. 2.4.1 refer to the statistics, reference to the statistics that we have here, okay, and state the percentage that the Gauteng core industrial region contributes to the GDP of South Africa. How much is it contributing to the GDP? 38% contribution to the GDP of South Africa, which means already you've got your answer here. You're going to get your 1 mark. It's coming from this from the infographic. Okay, 2.4.1.2 now. Quote evidence. Okay, it says quote evidence from the extract that shows why 31% of South Africa's labor force is found in the Gauteng core industrial regions. 2.4.2. The sector, of course, how many people are employed there? Sector employed over 500,000 people. That's something that is coming from the extract. Okay, so sector employing over 500,000. That's, you get your 2 marks. There are about 10,000 business involved in the province's manufacturing. So this is relevant to the question. 10,000 business involved in province's manufacturing sector, employing over 500,000 people. Okay, let's move on to the next one. 2.4.3, refer to the sketch. Refer to the sketch and explain the role of major roads in supporting industrial development in PWV industrial regions. We are referring to the sketch and we explain the role of major roads now. This is the sketch that we have here. This is 2.4.3, the sketch that we have here. What can we say about this sketch in terms of the connection of networking of the roads? That's basically what we are talking about. 2.4.3. It allows for effective transportation of goods, raw materials, obviously, when that makes it more accessible. That's number 1. Allows for effective transportation of goods, raw materials, and labor. Creates accessibility to major markets. Why? Because of the networking of the rocks, you can see, of the roads. Okay. Then also the dense network of roads creates greater accessibility, which means it makes this place, PWV, to be the most accessible industrial core region. That's basically what you're talking about. The shortest possible distance to the towns and cities is available, make it cost effective. Effective road network will attract investors, decreases traffic congestion, and rapid delivery of products. So that is the role that is being played here. That is the role that is being played here. Then you get your 4 marks. You are supposed to get only 2. Okay. Then explain 2 challenges faced by the PWV in the industrial core region. These are the factors that hinders. Of course, remember we have given you on this one when I was going through the factors that hinders the development of PWV. So what are some of the challenges? 2.4.4, load shedding. Load reduction reduces production. Of course, load shedding obviously affects the production in the industries in terms of manufacturing and processing that is taking place within the region. Traffic congestion is close movement of goods and the people. Shortage of water resources and and also water when sometimes there's water shedding. Gauteng has limited land available for further expansion. High petrol prices, increased transport costs, deterioration of rail transport, lack of skills, increase in pollution. These are some of the things that you can actually talk about. Then you get your marks. Then suggest one advantage, one disadvantage of industries moving towards high value added production in Gauteng core industrial region. So you need to understand what high value added production is. Production that uses advanced technology and highly efficient, e.g. robotics to operate machinery. So what are some of the challenges? 2.5. What are some of the challenges? That's what we are talking about now. What are some of the challenges? 2.5. One advantage, one disadvantage. What are some of, provide state, we are 2.4.4. Of course, I've gone to the next one. 2.4.4. What are some of the challenges? So what are some of the challenges? Explain 2 challenges faced by Gauteng PWV core industrial region. We are talking about, of course, all right, I've seen something, I've picked something. 2.4.3, refer to the sketch, explain why the role of major roles in startup industry core industrial region. Okay, we have talked, allows for effective transportation, I've covered that. Okay, let me move on to 2.4.4. Explain 2 challenges faced by the Gauteng PWV core industrial region. What are the challenges? Okay, load shedding, traffic congestion, flows of movement, shortage of water resources. This is what I have covered just now. 2.4.5 now. It reads, suggest one advantage and one disadvantage of industry moving towards high value added production in Gauteng industrial core region. Okay, advantages, of course, high profits, efficient production process, upskilling of people, increased investment, increased foreign income, among other reasons. Okay, you only need one advantage. Then disadvantage, we are looking at the less job opportunities for unskilled workers. Skilled labor will be sourced from other countries, which means they are outsourcing. Buyers will have to pay more for goods. Business of low value production will be negatively affected. So I'm not going to say much in as far as this point is concerned. Let's move on now to the last part. Refer to the extract and graph below on informal sector. I'm just going to do a summary of informal sector so that at least you have an idea of what exactly informal sector is. Okay, I'll just do more of a summary of the informal sector so that you have an idea. Okay, informal sector, people are not employed in the formal sector. I think we have seen people, if you move around, people that are operating from the streets. Some of them are selling vegetables, some of them are even fixing cars. So they are not formalized, they do not pay tax. They are informal. Okay, they do not pay tax. They are not paid to SARS. They are not known by the municipality, I would say as well. So people are not employed in formal sectors. The workers, parking guards, casual laborers, not registered, do not pay tax. So that's what explains what an informal sector is. In terms of characteristics, workers are self-employed. There's casual labor, semi-skilled and unskilled workers, little capital investment, mainly in developing countries, no job security, no contribution to the GDP because they are not formalized. What else do we have? What are some of the reasons for the development? The job losses in the formal sector. The moment they lose jobs, obviously they have to come up with other ways of generating income. That's when they start working in the formal sector. Mechanization of farms and industry, the lack of formal qualifications, immigrants cannot find legal employment. What are the importance? Obviously, it provides income, it decreases unemployment, lower prices of goods, develop entrepreneurial skills, and reduce crime. How can it be improved? We're looking at, we can provide specific areas for trading, just giving them space where they can operate from, provide infrastructure such as worker styles, access to bank loans, because some of them do not have collateral security, so they cannot access banks. Okay, loans. Regulate the sector, making it legal, partnerships with the private informal sectors, among other reasons. What are some of the challenges? They are harassed by authorities. We have seen if they are if they are doing operations in towns, we have seen how some of them will not even operate on that day. Why? Because they know that they are illegal. No access to proper trading facilities, exposed to the weather, do not get bank loans, and reliable income, among other reasons. So now that you have an idea of what an informal sector is, let's go through the extract. Trading in the informal sector has always been part of South Africa's economy. It has always been, even if it is not legalized, 30% of which occurs in Johannesburg. The city of Johannesburg has informal trading bylaws, which means in bylaws that currently regulate trading in the informal sector, which means even if they are not formalized, but there are bylaws that are in place to allow these informal traders to operate. Okay, the municipality may declare any place to be an area in which informal sector trading is restricted or prevented. The restrictions include traders sleeping overnight, as it is exposing them to the criminal activity. Anyone not complying with these regulations can be charged with a fine of 500 rand. Car window washers and other informal traders are part of the large group of poor South Africans who have been economically excluded and who are trying to find their way to support their families. Human rights lawyers have said that certain regulation could be punishing people from just being poor. So this is comment in as far as informal sector is concerned. Okay. What else do we have? Busiest time of trading in the informal sector in Johannesburg. You can see that it shows you the busiest time of operation. Most of them, you can see the operation is from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. That is the peak. But this is the informal trade in terms of percentage from early in the morning, which means there's no business here. The business peaks around 10 to 12. Of course, this is during lunch. Of course, then from there, after 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, is still high, then start going up until, so it means some of the business are even operating until 10 p.m. That's basically what is he saying, the business time of the trading in the informal sector in Johannesburg. Let's get on with it. According to the extract, which means information is coming from the extract, what is the percentage of informal trading taking place in Johannesburg? The percentage now, what is the percentage? Of course, we have got 30% which occurs in Johannesburg. That is 30% which occurs in Johannesburg. So this is the 30% from the extract, which means here is what? 30%. Court evidence. From the extract, why trading has been restricted in the Johannesburg at 2.5.2. Of course, exposed them to criminal activities. It actually exposed them to criminal activities. That is your answer there. Then according to the graph, we are now using this. Which is the busiest time period of the trading in the informal sector? 2.5. Okay, you can see the busiest one, the peak. This is from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. That is the busiest time. Let's move on to the next one. 2.5.4. Suggest 2 reasons for the rapid growth of informal sector in Johannesburg. The 2 reasons. Why is there a growth in informal sector? 2.5.4. Of course, the high unemployment rate and retrenchments that are taking place result in people trying to look for ways where they can generate income for themselves. That is self-employment. Then low-paying jobs, some of the jobs are not paying. They end up doing it for themselves so that they get more money as compared to being exploited in those companies which do not pay well. The higher number of illegal immigrants, they are also getting this informal sector. Okay, that's another reason. Then increase in the urban population, lack of skills. You can talk about the lower startup cost because these people, they cannot get loans from the banks because they do not have collateral security. Okay. Fewer regulations, lack of access to finance. Those are some of the things that you can actually include in as far as the reasons for the rapid growth of informal sector in the city of Johannesburg. Then the last one, 2.5.5. In a paragraph of approximately 8 lines, this is a paragraph question. I always emphasize this. Please write in form of a paragraph. Do not write in point form. Explain measures that the municipality can put in place to assist traders in the informal sector to operate under more favorable conditions. What are the conditions that they are operating from? So you need to understand that, of course, harassed by the authorities, no access to proper trading facility, exposed to weather. These are some of the conditions that they are working towards. So we are saying now, what can the municipality do to put in place to assist traders and informers to operate under more favorable conditions? What is it that they must do? 2.5.5. What is it that they must do? Number one, they should regulate the informal sector. When they regulate it, obviously, they are going to end up contributing to the tax bracket, okay? To the tax, to the revenue of the country. Once they are regularized, which means they have now become legal, they have now been formalized, which means they are also going to contribute to the generation of revenue in as far as the country's economy is concerned. They should allocate space near markets where they can operate from. They can actually also allocate space near markets where they can operate from. That's another way that they can help. They can provide them with styles where they can operate from as well. This helps them also to actually generate more income. Access to basic services like your toilets and the other stuff in these areas where they are operating from. This also helps them actually to attract more customers since they'll be having more of the basic services. Access to storage service facilities, access to financial assistance so that they can be able to get income to revamp their business, be it through bank loans, being through subsidization by the municipality or the government. This is what will help them actually to have more favorable working conditions, okay? Provide skills development and leadership opportunities so that they are able to derive more income through the use or utilization of their skills. That's something else that they can actually do. What else can they do? Effective policing and effective transport. This is something that they can actually do as well. These are some of the things that they can actually do. Public awareness, bylaws to improve the perception of the informal sector. These are some of the things that they can actually do. So all in all, I would sum up the 2024 paper the way I've done it. I have I have actually looked at the rural and I have looked at economic geography. Sorry for confusing you there. Question 2, this is what I've done. I've gone through question 2, which is mostly questions to do with your mining, questions to do with your agriculture, questions to do with more primary activities. That's what I've done. I think I've gone through the questions. Then the second question, match question. Then question 3, I did not do it because it's covering coal mining, of which we are doing gold. Question 2.4, PWV, I've explained this in detail. Then the last one, it has something to do with the informal sector. I've also covered that. So this is what I've done for today. Thank you so much.